Celebration, celebrate, celebrate. We should celebrate, celebrate. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. My name is Louisa. If you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe down below if you like the content. So today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know in the apartment search, hunt, research, and finding your perfect place for you if you are currently looking or thinking about looking. And this is from my view, my perspective of how it went as a college student in New York, so take with that what you will. I have everything on a list on my iPad, so I'm just gonna be looking down. I'm really sorry about the noise, you're just gonna hear that because it's New York. But yeah, so I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know, everything I wish I knew, things I learned along the way, and everything in between. If you have not seen my two latest videos, my apartment process video and my move-in to my apartment video, go check those out down below after this video because you can kind of see what it actually was like, but this is more informative. So without any further ado, let's get on to the video. So let's start off with the beginning process. The first thing I recommend is doing research. I had absolutely no idea what to expect when going into New York real estate. Financial obligation was how to look, who to talk to, and exactly like how to go about this. So I looked a lot online, on YouTube videos, different articles on just kind of real estate right now. As you know, the pandemic is going on, so at first I did not know exactly what that meant or if I could see places in person, but I really knew I wanted to. And learning about what the financial obligation is, what your budget is. So I first started off by making a must-haves list, a nice-to-have list, and cannot have by any means list, or preferably would not like. So I recommend doing this just to kind of have a sense of exactly what you want before the process, before apartment hunting, because you'll definitely learn along the way about what's in your budget, stuff like that. So in terms of the research process, what I recommend doing, taking into consideration proximity, budget, understanding all the fees, and understanding that there are a lot more fees than just the rent. So that's definitely what I would start off by looking for in the research process before. So the next thing is looking online, researching different websites. Personally, I looked at StreetEasy just because I had, you know, numerous friends who had used it before, recommended it. And that was in New York, so if you're in New York, I recommend that to you guys. I'm not sure about other places. So yeah, that was definitely the first thing we had to do, was go online, look at different properties. At that time, my friend Liv and I were searching together, so we each did our separate research on things we found in both of our budgets, and then we collectively brought that list together, eliminate them because we had like over 50, and it just got really overwhelming. So prior to the actual search, I recommend, if you have a roommate or roommates that you are living with, whether they're friends or not, to talk about a budget and to make sure that that is settled before you start looking, because it can get really confusing if you guys end up on different pages, which is okay, it happens. Once people start looking, they find different things they want, different things they don't want, because if you keep going back and forth, you will tire yourself out. It is very exhausting process. Personally, we had my friend Liv, her parents, me, and my mom. So we were all in this process. It wasn't just about myself and my roommate, it did include the parents because of their help financially. Next, I would say that I think going through our must-haves list and kind of picking out what is unrealistic and what you can compromise more on will be really helpful in narrowing down your search if you have a ton of listings you want to see. If not, see as many as you can, just because I got a wide variety of different budgets, different places, different locations, everything like that. So going into the searches, during this time in New York, I think we looked in June or July. Some apartments did require a mandatory signing of a form for COVID. And not all buildings do that, but it's literally just kind of proving that you have no symptoms, making sure that you are being safe. So when looking on StreetEasy, there are a ton of pictures, videos, floor plans, square footage, different amenities, utilities, rent cost, obviously, and some of the listings online don't have those all. So that being said, if you do find that before you go in to search, want to know more information, on StreetEasy there is a sidebar where you can enter your email, your name, stuff like that, and your question. You can either say, I would love to come in for an in-person tour, what time works for you? Or you can ask, do you have the square footage for this unit? Do you have a floor plan? Do you have this? Do you have that? Ask any questions you want. You know, it's kind of your job to kind of figure out what the building's all about, what the unit's all about. And if they don't have an answer, usually they have someone else, like a manager, who will be able to answer the question. but that was not the case for all of them. A lot of the listings I looked at had virtual tours, but it was not online. You had to ask first, so I did so before going into the apartments. After you either send in a comment or type in like your preferred date to come see the unit in person, a lot of the brokers will be able to see you day of, day after, or that week. They want you in there. They want that exposure to their property. So they were really quick and they were very responsive. With that being said, I got a lot of insight into the brokers, how they, you know, work. Some of them will just email you and email you and email you until they have a response. If you visit the unit and you're not into it, just respond, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in the unit anymore. Thank you for, you know, the tour. Thank you for this. The pro of that was that they were very responsive and you can get in-person tours as soon as possible, usually in most cases. So yeah, that was a very big perk that I was not expecting. When you go in for your tours, make sure that when you set them up, say you have apartment A, apartment B, apartment C, that you kind of schedule it so that you know the time blocks in between, so you have time to get there so you're not late. So A, B, C, D, so you don't have to keep walking or driving back and forth. That was definitely took time out of my day to do, but it worked, and sometimes the times didn't work out with the brokers, but just do what you can to make it easier on yourself. So next, I would say I toured around over 12 to 15 apartments-ish. Some of them were in the same apartment building, but for the most part, most of the tours took between 10 minutes and 20 minutes, just because the spaces that I was looking at are very small and very easy to look at. I think what took the most time was if I had questions that I liked the property, I would just ask them and ask them and ask them everything I could to get as much information out as I could. So those took a little longer, but it wasn't that long of a tour in between, so just for reference. Yeah, so I really recommend being energized for these tours, depending on if you have 10 a day or if you have 3 a day. You know, eat, hydrate, sleep the night before, have your energy up because it is exhausting, and keeping everything in your mind is really hard when you are seeing so many different apartments. I definitely knew I needed to write down after every tour, either on my phone or a voice memo, about the apartment number I saw, the location, the pros and cons, so I could easily go back and look at my list. So after you go through your apartment hunt, I recommend going back through your list, your prioritized list of the must-haves, nice to have, and to not have. And once you get an understanding of what the budget is for your units that you're looking at and what you can get for that price, you can definitely narrow down from there. I know it's really hard to narrow down ones you love, and I found it really hard when I fell in love with like two apartments and I couldn't put a deposit down yet because I didn't have a roommate. Luckily, the unit I have now, I did fall in love with at first sight. I went back 3 times to visit this, and it was still on the market when I was actually looking. So yeah, I got really lucky with that. One more thing I did want to talk about. I got so many questions asking about the prices and what my budget kind of was. So I'm going to give you guys a general kind of number around what we were looking for in a 2-bedroom. The ones that I was looking at for reference were, at first we were looking at $3,000 net price rents. We moved that number up to match what the number would be if we were living in a dorm. What I got was the same price I would be paying in a dorm, minus the utilities, which are monthly, which do add up. It definitely depends per month, but that was a general range. We ended up going with one between $3,500 and $3,800, I believe, so that was kind of the price range. So in terms of fees that I had no idea about, or like what it all meant, so to try to make it really simple for you guys, the first thing you see when you look at a property is the rent. So you will pay that monthly. You are living with other roommates, that will be divided between you guys however you separate. And then on top of that, when you apply, every single one that I visited, the application fee was $20, which for some people is a lot, and for some people it's worth it. I only applied to one, so it's like I knew that I had to anyway. And then in terms of the upfront fee when you first get the apartment, the fees you have to pay kind of vary between buildings, but what I would say is a security deposit, which you will get back at the end of your lease if everything is in okay shape in your apartment. So the upfront fee is first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit. Some of them only have either first or last month's rent, and it kind of depends on the building you're in. So just be aware of that price because it's the rent plus that. And then your utilities from, you know, heat, water, electricity, TV, internet, whatever you have, that will be monthly. One last thing that I forgot to mention, some apartments do have broker's fees. We looked at apartments that did not. A broker's fee will, actually, I don't even know how to describe it. I would look it up. It does add onto your bill, so I recommend looking for ones with no broker's fee, but obviously it depends on what you're willing to pay. So keep that in mind. If you guys want any more information, I literally recommend watching YouTube videos or going on articles, finding people who know what they're doing, because this is just from my experience, and some other professionals have way better advice than I do. But from a college student who knew nothing going into it, this is what I'm giving you guys. So I hope in some way, shape, or form it helped you. But yeah, I think that's all I'm going to talk about for this video. If you guys have any other questions, let me know down below. I would love to answer anything else. This process was stressful, let me tell you. I back and forth from dorm to apartment to dorm to apartment so many times. People are coming back, but they're not sure when. So I knew exactly when I wanted my lease to start. I knew exactly what my budget was. I knew exactly what my lists were. I was looking in the city at all these different apartments, and that really helped me understand everything. But let me tell you, it was exhausting. I did get a comment saying, I wish my, you know, move-in goes this smooth to an apartment one day. And girl, let me tell you, it was not smooth. I barely have anxiety, and I had really bad anxiety. I was so stressed. I was exhausted. Even during the tours, I got really tired because some of the time I went in with my friend Liv, some of the time I went in with my mom, and most of the time I went in by myself, and then I went back with my mom to the ones I liked. A lot of you had such sweet comments on my last video saying that, you know, you love the apartment I chose, you can't wait to see more, that you loved that I was so happy when I moved in, and I still really am. Didn't see my other vlogs yet. I brought all my stuff in from home by myself in the car, and I had just my boyfriend helped me with the bed frame, but it wasn't that difficult, so it was pretty easy. But the move-in process was definitely not smooth. It was very stressful, so keep that in mind. It is a lot of work, but honestly, it is completely worth it for me. A lot of my viewers are not subscribed, so if you're not subscribed, subscribe down below if you keep coming back. Yeah, that's it for this video, I think, and thank you guys so much for subscribing. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video.